Yo, what's going on everyone, and welcome to all those who have just downloaded Uncharted 4 multiplayer through PS Plus. I'm just making this video just to help some of you out who might be new to the game, and I'm going to point you in the right direction in terms of sensitivities and settings in game that I think you should be using if you're not already. So the first one I would say is, if you like Uncharted TV, then you can turn it on. I'm not personally bothered myself, so I just turn it off. A lot of people say if they're on Wi-Fi this makes them lag because it's constantly pulling videos from the server. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but I just turn it off. The next thing I'd say to change when you're in game is this sensitivity here. Me myself, I use a 3 sensitivity because I play mostly with the FAL. So if you're planning on using a long range gun, then I would say this is a good starting point. I definitely wouldn't recommend using the one that Naughty Dog gives you, which is this one, 5-10-5. If it's on 5-10-5 and you're missing your shots, then I'm not going to be surprised, because this is quite a difficult sensitivity to play on if you're just starting out in the game. So definitely turn that down if you're planning on using a FAL. And if you're planning on using a HS, then I'd recommend playing on a sensitivity that looks more like this, increasing all the values by 1. The next thing I would say to change is this down here, camera controls. You want your camera sensitivity to be really high, so perhaps even on max, because when someone shoots you in the back you want to be able to turn around really quick. So change those definitely. This is what mine looks like at the moment, and I've been using these settings since 2016 when the game launched. The next thing I would say to change, if you would like to change it, I prefer shooting with L1 R1. So this setting down at the bottom here, scheme, legacy, that allows you to play aiming with L1 and shooting with R1, and then throwing grenades with L2 and swinging with R2. So if you're used to L1 R1, like a lot of people are from PS3, then definitely you can change that if you want. Everything else in this section is good. I wouldn't really mess around with too much in this category too much. The next category, we're going to be changing a few things. I would recommend turning motion blur intensity off. I can show you quickly an example in game if you'd like of what this is, but I find myself that I don't really like playing with motion blur on. I just find it just is a bit annoying, and sometimes you can't see things that you'd be able to see if you turned it off. So I'll just give you a quick demonstration in game. As you can see, this loadout here, I've already started putting together some makeshift loadouts for everyone new to the game that I think you could probably use.
Well, I guess it's time to show you what I can do.
If you'd like to see anything else in terms of videos or any questions or anything, I'm definitely down to make a video showing you all the different sensitivities and whatnot. So yeah, this is motion blur. As you can see, when I move my camera, you can see it does actually start to blur, as hinted by its name. But then when you turn it off, perfectly clear. It's going to take your eyes a little bit to adjust to it if you've been playing with motion blur on for a long time. But I personally think this is much better. You're allowed to turn your camera without things being blurry. So say if you were looking at something over here and you wanted to look at the window to check if someone was there, you wouldn't perhaps miss the person in the window because it wouldn't be blurry at all. So yeah, that's why I turn it off. Other settings I'd recommend tweaking. This is a very important one if you have a good headset, or even if you don't have a good headset, it's just important anyway. Audio in this game is a really big thing, so I'd definitely recommend tweaking it in the following ways. So effects is obviously anything like gunshots, map effects like rain or anything like that, or like on Remnants you find the map starts raining, it has dynamic map effects. Or say some of the maps like on Island, there's like a little, I I think they're like koalas or whatever they are that crawl around. They make noises as well. So personally myself, I don't want to be drowned in the sound of my own gunfire, so I turn that setting right down. I'd recommend turning it down to perhaps maybe 5. I know this sounds really dramatic, but there's much more important sounds you want to be hearing in game other than the sound of your own gun. Music, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory what music is, but if you want to keep it on, I suppose keep it on. The reason I turn it off is because when you're in a TDM game and it's really close, say it's the scores, I don't know, 39 to 39 say, the game starts adding dramatic music into the game, so it starts playing dramatic music, and I kind of find it off-putting. You know, you can't think straight, so I tend to turn that off. Yeah, we'll turn that off. Now this is probably the most important setting in the game in my opinion, like that you could tweak apart from any aiming sensitivity or anything like that. Dialogue is basically character grunting, so you'll find a lot in Uncharted. Your character, or as Elena is now, make noises when they jump, roll, especially on rope swings. This is the biggest one. When people use the rope swings, they make really loud grunting noises, whether male or female, so you'll be able to hear someone if they're, say, behind you, coming ready to shoot you in the back. So I think this setting is really important, and I found it really helpful throughout my time playing this game to utilise that. As well, on the audio front, I myself use Astro A40s. Now, I know a lot of people won't use those, but even if you don't, I would suggest tweaking this a little bit. So I'll show you what it looks like on default. So there's 5 speakers in my headphones, or headphone, say, and this is the bottom picture here with the circle diagram is how the audio is distributed throughout my headset. So in this diagram you can see it's quite top heavy, so I'm going to hear a lot of sounds in the top part of my headset, but not a lot. Like, I basically just look at it as like one line's bottom left, one line's bottom right, so we want that to be something like that. And then obviously you want to be able to hear your top left or top right, so I usually keep it around this, and then I look at the middle line as above or below, so you can't tweak that, but I would just leave it as it is. So now, instead of it being really top heavy, I've distributed the audio in my headphone to be able to hear my top left and top right and bottom left and bottom right, which I know doesn't sound too important, but I personally think it's really important to be able to hear accurate audio in this game, especially if it's an intense match you're playing. Controller audio, I mean, I don't really use that, and I don't think the game supports a lot of it unless it's in the single player. I would change this to midnight. I would also put this on dialogue and effects, and then change this to surround headphones. So in the end, it's going to look something like this. Now, not everyone's is going to look like this, and not everyone's going to be able to customize this because of just the nature of their headset, but if you can customize these settings and tweak them, then definitely do that. But just know that if you can't tweak them, it's not always going to be your fault, it's just that type of headset you have. But even if you can't tweak them, like the output settings, I'd recommend tweaking the volume settings, definitely, because that would still benefit you. Apart from that, I think that's it on the settings front. I'll be making another video hopefully soon on loadouts I think you should be using for all those new to the game, and I suppose these types of videos could help any existing subscribers that don't already use those settings. That might help them when they come back and play this game. So thank you for watching, and I'll be making another video soon with loadouts. Thank you.